How did you feel in the space?
So today I found it interesting that we were in the room and considering the topic content of this problem of accessibility and that we went so deeply into the social network somehow. I found it interesting that it was such a duplication that we are here in this room and this is somehow the topic and that we are sitting here at the same time and answering questions and that we are exactly in this problem. And you could continue to think about it for a very, very long time. And then we could also look for models. Well, I think this has to do with the fact that I am personally interested in models, but that it would be interesting to think about concepts and plans. The first thing you try to do is to find out what the problem is, whether it's hierarchies or patriarchal systems that are still there. But then somehow the next step would be to try to find out how to avoid that. That can also be very experimental, not only on paper, but spatial.
The exhibition space is designated as a space of possibility. Jan Verwoerd, More Than Just Possible, from 2005.
So I really like to sit on the floor, so that was totally okay for me. And this soft material, and also how they explained it, that somehow played such a big role for me. So of course the guests were still sitting higher, but I thought that we were also different. One didn't just sit next to one another, one was able to turn to the others in a completely different way when they said something. Somehow one formed such small groups. It had almost a campfire character, also because of the light. I think it was a little dimmed, warmer light.
In fact, after a visit to a contemporary art exhibition, the only thing that truly remains in our memory is the organization of the spaces of that exhibition, especially if that organization is original and unusual. Boris Groys, Universal Curating, from 2019.
Very well taken care of, comfortable. But somehow it was also strange that we sat on the floor and the guests on chairs with a table in front of them. Nevertheless, the mats and blankets created a very pleasant atmosphere. At the event upstairs, it was all a little bit tight. Spatial exclusion. Could content exclusion be compensated through special or spatial inclusion? During the performance, I found it very great to be able to walk around the room and get different perspectives. Why didn't we move more? What other perspectives would have been possible for the public in a more active posture?
Do you think the space helped you or did not help you to engage with the content of the event?
I think that because the room was so fragmented with all these ladders and stuff, it was maybe a little bit more difficult to get a good overview at the beginning. But the fact that it was about people walking around the space all the time made it even better in the end. So apart from a few chairs, it wasn't really clear where we could sit, and everybody had to fit into the room a little bit, into the stage design, and that worked quite well. So at the first and last event, the space helped me a lot. It was a perfect fit. At the second event, it somehow didn't fit. It was so tight up there.
Did you think about your own position and if it would have been better to stand or to have different chairs or to lay on the ground to be able to listen better to the events?
I could engage with the content very well. Anyway, I don't think that a different physical position would have helped me at the middle event. You just would have needed a little more space. During the performance, it might have been nice to be able to try out certain gymnastic exercises, figures by myself, even as an audience.
With an appropriate design, the exhibition space is almost predestined to allow thanks to a specific kind of experience and learning to unfold a particularly bodily knowledge. Luisa Reichstatter, Negotiating the Exhibition, from 2015. Do you think that there is a connection between your own physical position and the reflection you might have?
I would love to dare to sit on cushions or listen to an academic speech in sunbeds. I have the feeling that discussions could arise if we're lying or sitting differently, and time has an influence. So at some point you get tired or you don't like it anymore, and then you somehow become more courageous. I think it would bring in an ease, which in my opinion is important to be able to combine this with theoretical content. I think it has potential.
This willingness to take risks was a very specific quality. The involvement in situations where it is not clear what the outcomes will be. Hans Christian Dani, Ulrich Dori, Bettina Cefalo, Selfco dagegen dabei, Text, Talks, and Documents on Strategies of Self-Organization since 1969, from 1998.